Have you ever gone overboard on the weekend where you had maybe a couple extra glasses of wine or an ice cream sandwich you didn't plan, or maybe even you just stopped at McDonald's and got a double cheeseburger and some chicken nuggets, and you're going through this process and you're eating it, and then comes the next day, or even 20 minutes after, where you're feeling really guilty, you feel bad, you're mad about yourself, you're beating yourself up about it. This is what we're talking about today. It's all about how to get rid of feeling so bad about making a diet mistake. And on top of that, I'm also going to teach you not only how to get rid of that negative feeling that comes after, but exactly what it means to learn from your mistakes. I mean, we hear that all the time, but how do you actually apply that? So I'm going to take you through a couple examples that I take my coaching clients through that really will help you understand why we need to let go of all of that judgment and guilt and feeling bad about making a diet mistake. If we haven't met before, my name is Tanessa Shears. I am a life and weight coach for women. I help them drop their physical and their mental weight so they can get over all their drama, keep the results, and get to their goal weight. So let's get started. This is coming up because I've had a couple conversations with clients about this just over the last week because it's summer. So a lot more barbecues are happening. There's picnics, there's beach days, there's patio drinks. This usually means that it gets super tempting to just say, yeah, sure, I'll have a couple more drinks. Or like, it's a really hot day. Let's just stop and get, something fun to eat. And then we go home and we get into that cycle of being super guilty about eating off plan or falling off track, or why do I keep doing this to myself? What's wrong with me? So we feel really guilty about it, all right? And so I'm going to call that negative emotion layer number 1. Then what happens is we get mad at ourselves and start judging ourselves for feeling guilty. So it's like, why do I have to feel like this? This is so hard. This shouldn't be such a struggle. This feels terrible. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just stay on track? It seems so much easier for everyone else. Why can't I just lose the weight? So that's negative emotion layer 2. So you do something that's not on your plan, you overeat, you overindulge, so you feel guilty about it. Layer 1. Now this would already be bad enough because walking around feeling guilt over something you did is terrible. It feels really crappy, but then what we go and do is we layer on judgment and anger at ourselves. So now we have 2 entire layers of completely negative emotions. So we've taken an experience which, isn't ideal, and we've made ourselves feel bad about it on 2 different levels. And then when we, juxtapose that to this whole idea that we should be happy 100% of the time, we end up just feeling completely miserable because now we're like, I should be happy. Why am I not happy? What's wrong with me? So what I like to coach my clients through on this is you can instantly get rid of 50% of the negative emotion you're feeling right now by stopping and judging yourself. Why are you judging yourself? What is it getting you that you cannot get from just learning from the experience? So think about this. You have those 2 layers. You have the guilt you feel and then the anger and the judgment of yourself for feeling guilty, okay? So if we take out judging ourselves, now we just feel guilty. So the first thing I like to explain is when we make a mistake, that's part of life. I am always living by the principle that 50% of your life is going to be negative emotions and 50% is positive emotions. This doesn't matter what you weigh, what you drive, how much money's in the bank, where you live, how many kids you have, your relationship. You will always experience 50% positive and 50% negative. Now, when that guilt shows up, that's just part of your 50% negative emotion. So instead of trying to push it away and getting mad at yourself and creating even further negative emotion, what if instead we just felt guilty? What is so bad about it? You messed up. It's okay. It's fine. You feel guilty. You stop fighting it. You just let yourself feel guilty. It'll only last a little bit and you move on. The reason we struggle with that guilt so much is because we're judging our guilt. And that's a lot of negative emotions. So we can instantly get rid of half of the negativity and anger we feel by just feeling guilty. And that's completely okay. We all experience negative emotion. I mean, my flavor of it is always anxiety. That's always how I experience it. Some people are sadness. Some people get angry really quickly. There's lots of ways we experience negative emotion. And if your flavor of that is just feeling guilt after doing something wrong or shame, it's time to stop resisting that and just allowing that to be part of the experience. And then this is where you get to take the opportunity to learn from that mistake. I go by this principle that the problems you're dealing with and the issues in your life, or whether that be with your health or anything else, they're going to continue to show up in your life over and over again. They may take different forms, but that overeat is going to show up again and again and again until you get the education that it intended you to have. So there is an education behind that overeat that happens. And if you don't learn it, you're going to keep overeating until you learn it. So instead of just, saying like, oh, well, I won't do that again. That was bad. I won't do that again. That's not learning from it. That's what we call sweeping it under the rug. And that's why you're continuously stuck in this cycle of what's wrong with me? Why can't I stay on track? What am I doing wrong? So learning from it means really discovering why you did it in the first place. So I have a worksheet that I go through with my clients called the recovery worksheet. And I ask them very specific questions because the goal of it is to help unearth exactly what was going on in the moment you made that choice, because it was a choice. Nobody forces us to eat. Nobody makes us feel like we have to eat. We chose to eat that. Now we have to understand why that happened so we can be aware of those moments in the future. So I'm going to read these questions out to you. And what I really suggest is you take a moment after you hear these questions, you pause the video, you rewind it, and you write them down so that you can go through them yourself when it comes time that if you ever have an overeat or make a mistake. So step one, eliminate the judgment and anger. Just be okay with whatever comes out. Shame, guilt, frustration, just sit in it, okay? So that's just one layer. Then you're going to learn from it. So here are the questions I like to ask. And I'm going to read them directly off of the worksheet that I share with my clients. So number one, facts only, all right? Where were you? What happened exactly? And what went wrong here? So a fact is something that we can't dispute. Saying, oh, I was feeling really hungry and stressed out. No, those aren't facts. I was at a ball game. I chose to eat a hot dog. It was not a healthy choice for me, and I wish I would have chosen something different. Okay, then what we look at is the second set of questions is, did I have a plan for the day in place? Did you actually go into the day with a written down plan of what you plan on eating that day? And if yes, what was the original plan? If no, that's your first big learning point, is that if you go into the day without a plan to eat, you're always going to be drifting and eating on emotion. So start with writing down at the beginning of the day everything you want to eat that day. The next question is, what was it I told myself to get me to eat off of my plan? So these are things like it was just one, it doesn't hurt, it's a nice day, I deserve this, all of those reasons that come up. And I want you to tell yourself what exactly you convinced yourself with to get yourself off plan. Then I'm going to get you to go through all those reasons, call bullshit on them. I deserve to eat ice cream 3 times on Sunday because it was sunny out. No, we don't. You know what we deserve? A healthy body that we feel good in, that works for us and that has health, and that we can go do the things we want to do and have the energy and go on hikes. That's what we deserve. It was just one, it won't hurt is another excuse a lot of my clients tell me they use, and you might have used that too, that it's just one cookie, it's just one pizza, it's just one overeat. Here's the BS I like to call on that. It's not just one. It was a conscious decision I made to go against something I committed to already. So I really like to call myself out and don't let myself get away with those excuses. So that's what I do then. Then what I do is I'd like to identify what the feeling was that triggered that mistake. So whether you let yourself get too hungry, you were stressed out, you were feeling lonely or sad, you felt like it was a good bonding experience. You want to identify what the feeling was when you made the choice to eat off plan. Because here's the thing, your brain, really intelligent, okay? Your brain, now that it knows, if it tells you, oh, it's just one, it won't hurt, and you eat off plan, it doesn't need to give you all these excuses next time. It's like a bright red push me button for your brain. So the next time something delicious and savory and off your plan presents itself, your brain's gonna go to, I just want that, because it knows that that reason is very convincing to you and it works. And it knows that if we couple that with that feeling of maybe it was stress or hunger or overwhelm or bonding, we couple those together, your brain is going to be able to get the sugar, the flour, and the overeat and the desire and the dopamine that it wants. So that's what we have to recognize. We have to know, what are you telling yourself that's so convincing? We need to watch out for that. And what feeling? Because when you start to feel that feeling again, so say stress was your trigger feeling. If you start feeling stressed out, you're like, I know when I feel stressed out, I don't make good choices. Or I know when my brain says it's just one, it won't hurt, I make choices that aren't in line with my plan. These start to be big red waving flags. Then all you have to do is be on alert for those. And then that is how you stop overeats in the future. The last couple of things you ask yourself is, well, how can I keep going? What strategies could I put in place to make a better decision next time? Well, maybe in order to not let myself get hungry, I need to have a non-perishable healthy snack in the car. Or maybe I need to plan my meals better. Or maybe I need to have a plan in place. Or maybe, I need to look at the restaurant menu ahead of time and choose something out. We need to put a plan in place. And then the last thing is we want to figure out, what are you telling yourself about what this goal means about you? We're not failures. We're not losers. We're not incapable. We're humans living a human experience that are experiencing that natural guilt that happens. What we learn from it is, did we have a plan in place or not? What feelings and thoughts triggered that decision so we can watch out for them next time? And then when that situation presents itself again, you can make the better decision. This is how you learn to process through an overeat. It's not just like, oh, I won't do that again. Actually understanding why you did it in the first place. And then coupling it with, stepping out of judgment and just letting yourself feel a little guilty. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing has gone wrong. Negative emotions exist for a reason. There's no such thing as 100% positive all the time. You wouldn't even want that. Promise me. I promise you, you wouldn't even want to feel 100% all the time. If, God forbid, one of your pets died, you wouldn't want to feel happy. There's space that we create in our life for those negative emotions, but it's just at times they don't serve us that we have such a problem with them. But we need to just learn to accept them and realize that that is part of the deal. And if this has inspired you at all, or you are trying to lose your last 10 pounds and you find you're running up against, a lot of these mental blocks and the mental weight that's really weighing you down, and you're struggling to get through some of this guilt, and you just really need someone to hold you accountable and the strategies to put into place, I'd love to help you with that. Just reach out to me and let's chat about what working together might look like. But otherwise, I hope you have a absolutely fantastic week, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!